Hello there, everybody from WNY High School community. We're doing the WNY High School Football Weekly Show with Tom Prince. I'm Frank Wolf. Francis Beck is behind producing this show today. This is another playoff edition, and we are in Week 2 of the Section 6 playoffs, and Monsignor Martin playoffs are underway as well. We'll get into a little bit of that. Thanks to our sponsors, Howard Hanna and Immediate Care and Logistics Plus of Buffalo for sponsoring this show. Tom, we did a bunch of games last week. Before we got going, we had a little bit of a setback when the section told us we had to start paying for doing these broadcasts, these streams that we've been doing basically for free. We understand why they had to do it. It was explained to us. For the record, the chairman did reach out to me a day before that email went out, and I didn't answer the call. You get so many phone calls, and you don't know who's calling you sometimes, so you think it's someone trying to sell you insurance or, your car warranty, this, that, and the other. So I just let it go to voicemail. It turned out it was the Section 6 executive director giving me fair warning and wanted to talk to me about it, and I just didn't answer that call because I didn't know who it was. But to their credit, they did try to give us a little bit of a warning. So we are having to pay for the playoff streams, and we did have some help from the community. Thank you very much. You guys helped us out and sent us some of your hard-earned money, and we appreciate it. And more than that, the kids appreciate it, the parents that can't get to these games that live in Florida or Texas, Arizona. We got a check from somebody in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much. That was great. Really appreciate it. And we're going to keep on trying to get as many streams going as we can. We can't hit every game, but we're doing what we can. And I'm very happy that Tom, to my left, for your right, Tom stepped up Thursday and put together a couple of crews to go do some Chuck Funky Bowl finals. We can't do all 3 games, but we got 2 crews together to do 2 games, one at All High and that other
West Seneca.
In West Seneca. Okay, so we got Dunkirk and is it
Dunkirk will play Burgard at All High.
Yep.
And then West Seneca West will play South Park at West Seneca West.
So I'm happy that we're able to, I think that's the Chunk Funky, the A and the B finals. We're not going to be able to do, the other one is Wilson and Cassadaga Valley, Falconer, Maple Grove. That should be a really good game.
Yes.
Hard hitting. You got Wilson, who's constantly a playoff team. They don't really fall too far off. They're still a very competitive team, caught up in a very tough C division.
Yeah, and Atlas you'll see run the ball very well. There'll be both teams will run the ball very well in this game, and it will come down to what you hear me talk about a lot. It'll come down to the trench play to see who can run the ball.
And then for the Golden Cougars, it's a team that's starting to build that program together. You got a really good legendary coach in Dan Greco down there, and he's aided by Kurt Fisher, who's got a number of sectional titles and sectional state champion and all that other stuff, helping him on the sidelines, running that offense. And that's a much improved Falconer, Cassadaga Valley, Maple Grove team down there. And this is really their first look at the playoffs, so to speak. I mean, it's not the true sectional playoffs, but, a lot of people don't put a lot of stock in Chuck Funky Bowls, but you should. You really should. Because
I agree.
This shows you, it is giving you more looks. Now you're playing in Week 8. Now you're playing in Week 9. Those are 2 extra football games for those 2 programs. That's huge. That's what a lot of people don't understand. You're still playing into Week 9. That's big. That's 2 extra football games, Tom.
Yep. No, and sometimes younger teams, this is what their breakout moment in these, winning those divisions and winning those right there to be able to take that momentum into next year. You'll see also right here is their running back, Dalton Caldwell, is the kid we're going to watch out for here. This Falconer Cassadaga Valley team is young in the sense of lots of juniors and sophomores. Yes, they do graduate seniors here also, but they've got this big core that's going to be coming back, and I'm going to tell you they're going to be someone to watch out for. Both teams, like I said, Wilson and Cassadaga Valley will rush the ball, and it will come down to line play to see who can win this.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to watching the other 2 games, and hopefully someone that's at that game, and that is at Wilson? Is that game up at Wilson? I believe it is.
It is.
Someone up at Wilson, please shout out to us and let us know what's going on. with that game, especially while Tom and the other guys are doing their game. Which one are you doing again?
I'll be at Burgard Dunkirk game.
You're doing that one. Okay, who's calling the game? You're calling the game.
Yep, I'm actually calling that, and I'll have Tim Chief as the color man for that one. And then the other would be Joe Daniel is going to do the play-by-play for the West Seneca South Park game, and Tim Rosick will be his color man over there on that game.
So those guys do a pretty good job working together. I was with them about a month ago doing a volleyball game, and those two guys had a nice chemistry going. Normally you hear Timmy Morozic with Mark Johnson doing all those Lancaster home games, but those two guys, Timmy can work with anybody. Dunkirk, Tom, and Francis, they've had an interesting year. That first game against Kemmer East got wiped out because of COVID. They connect, and that brand new coach, Mark Benton's in there after not being around for a while at the program. I think it was like 30 years he wasn't there because I don't know how long a time it was, but it was a long time. So he came back and gave it the old college try, if you will. And they are a lot better. They have a lot more talent than they do say wins. I think they were 2-6 overall, and they're playing a second Chuck Funky Bowl. So that's one of those teams, Tom, that just working, trying to get better. They got a couple of hiccups with COVID. I think twice they got hit with that, if I remember correctly.
We weren't sure if one of them was COVID or one was the amount of players that were eligible to be able to play. It was a couple different things that we didn't understand.
We were supposed to do a Lakeshore game with them, and then it got pushed to like a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I think that was because of a Dunkirk COVID issue.
Yeah, and those COVID issues and short player, they're already a small school, so they probably already had a smaller squad. So when you take out a few guys, it really puts a number on you.
So Dunkirk is, again, one of those teams with a lot of talent, just haven't been able to really put it together just yet. Senior heavy, mixed in with a couple of sophomores and then some juniors in there. I don't see any freshmen on that team, but good for Dunkirk for rebounding and getting a chance to play another Chuck Funky Bowl game here. And then Burgard, one of those teams that started out pretty tough, Tom. They were tough out of the gate, and then, you got the Maritimes coming at you, the Cheektowagas. And Burgard had a halfway decent year. They didn't have a bad year.
Very good defensively, too. They're going to be led by Lamar Hampton for Burgard.
Oh, he's a defensive tackler.
He's a defensive player that will absolutely – he's been one of the top tacklers we've seen in Western New York. He'll also be the running back for them. He'll do multiple things to try to score for them, but no doubt will be led by Lamar Hampton along the way.
So that'll be a good game for you guys to watch. Then, of course, West Seneca West. I'm pretty sure Isaiah Simmons is going.
He won last game
for the Indians, and he's a joy to watch.
Yep.
And then you've got this young quarterback coming into his own, and Noah Willoughby for South Park. And you got another look at Peril Fulgham, who I think is one of the premier football players in Western New York. I'll take that to the grave. I saw that kid down in Jamestown, and between him and Butera, the two best running backs in Western New York on that day for sure, going at it. And Fulgham, he's got a lot left in the tank. And what did he do last week, Tom?
He went for 21 carries, 187 yards, two touchdowns. I mean, he is just like a little highlight reel when he gets out there. Unbelievable. When you see some of the cuts and the moves that he makes, really makes it. He's such a shifty running back where he could literally cut on a dime and do some great things out there on the field.
He's kind of the epitome of what that South Park program is all about. It's about getting a bunch of fast guys, really athletic guys who can make big plays. And the thing is, Willoughby is kind of built for that offense. They don't ask their quarterbacks to do a whole lot. Obviously he's throwing some interceptions. He needs to cut down on that. But for a sophomore, he had a fantastic year. And as a South Park quarterback, you're kind of that point guard, old school point guard distributor. Get to the ball to your athletes and allow them to make plays. And if he can take care of the turnovers, this South Park team is going to be back to where we expect them at the stadium next year.
They've asked Willoughby to do a lot this year. I mean, think about it. I think he's going to be the number 2 quarterback in yardage for Western New York.
Well, if you watch that offense, what they do a lot of screens and they do a lot of throwing the ball down the field. They go deep, and it's about getting. I think a lot of what that offense is built on. Our receiver is a better athlete than your defensive back 9 times out of 10, and if you get a good enough ball, our receiver is going to make the play. And Willoughby fits that. Is the perfect quarterback for that system.
Another kid you want to watch out for. I don't remember his number, but it's Polk.
Yeah,
he's like
Amar
a cornerback.
Polk.
Amar Polk.
Amar
Cornerback,
Polk.
Defensive back, can can shut down anybody's top wide receiver. And is he also a receiver? Tom?
Yeah, he went for 6 receptions, 163 yards this past week, and 2 touchdowns himself. But Polk is absolutely another player in that team that you want to watch out for.
Yeah.
And then to verify exactly what we said, Ben Gasella right now the number 1 yardage quarterback at 25-17. Willoughby right now at 24-63, right on his heels. And then number 3 is Sean Sansone, who we've been starting to talk about a little bit more at Will East at 21-69. So you can see as those 2 right now are literally a game ahead of 3 and beyond as far as yardage goes.
There's one of those I've wanted to get for the website a story written on those players that are on teams that may not have those winning records. All right, they may not have gotten into the playoffs, or maybe only got one Funky Bowl, if a Funky Bowl at all. But there's guys in Western New York that had major impacts on their teams. That if this kid was on that team, oh my God, they definitely be going to the Ralph, the Highmark, whatever. But there's guys in this league. Sansone's a hell of a quarterback at Will East. He's one of those guys that you kind of you don't feel bad for him. He's great. He's a great athlete. He goes to one of the premier schools in Western New York. He's going to do whatever after this senior year. He's going to go on and do great things. So not worried about a kid like that. But you want to talk to kids. You want to talk about kids, highlight kids. To me, like a Sansone, like a Fulgham, like a Pawarzik from hang on. Like a Pawarzik from West Seneca West.
Last 2 weeks gone 300 yards. Thrown for 300 yards the last 2 weeks. Had 5 touchdowns this week, plus a running touchdown himself. Had a day and a half as far as Will East went this week. He also had a receiver that went nuts for him. Dorian Faison. Yep, Faison.
Yeah.
So 10 receptions, 160 yards, 3 touchdowns himself. Here's a kid that has done it. Colburn, right? 12 receptions, 194 yards, a touchdown. Is a kid we have not talked about much. You can see as there's absolutely kids. I mean, McDuffie's another one for Amherst. Even though I know he's gotten some recognition, so is Fulgham, but hasn't gotten it through the team-wise.
Who's a kid? Xander Fletcher from Niagara Wheatfield.
Yep.
What I wanted to, I'm trying to reach out to my writers, the guys who write for WNY Athletics. I got an assignment for you. I want a story written on those key players that I don't want them forgotten about, because they've done an exceptional job. The Rieselman from North Tonawanda, and then there's a running back there. I think it's Deion Johnson or DJ.
For North Tonawanda?
Deion Johnson, is that him from North Tonawanda?
Yeah.
The guys like that who had major impacts, MVPs of their team, but may not get the recognition that a kid like Butera is going to get because he's winning every game. Yeah. So there's guys out there that I want to give some
the
recognition
Lockport
to.
receivers,
there's 3
the
guys
Star Point receivers, both those two,
Carson
Evan
Marcus,
Dean, Evan
the
Floss.
From
Star
Point.
Yep,
so those guys,
one.
I'm looking for one of my feature writers to step up, and I'll take care of you guys. I need an article written about these kids, these blue chippers, I call them.
A defensive kid, Logan Ellis from Pioneer, right? That's a team. How about Jack Bunsey at Pioneer right there?
Another guy.
Another one that's out there.
Yeah.
How about Dewar even at Will South?
Matt Sweet from
Eden. Absolutely can throw the ball plus run the ball. Can do both very, very well.
Yeah.
Took over an offense this year that was they almost solely ran the ball last year. Almost solely threw the ball last year. It was like 90% by the pass, 10% run. They flip it this year and almost completely the opposite here. But Sweet has done it with his legs, and then when he needs to go to the air, he's done it for that. He does both things for Eden very well.
So we'll do what we can to recognize those kids in a like their own story type thing. Maybe get some highlights if we can find them. Tom, before we get too far into this, I wanted to just talk about something that's going on in the Section 6 athletic office. If anybody has had a chance to ever meet or talk with Beth Fadley there, Beth Fadley works in the Section 6 athletic office in West Seneca. Her son, Jack, needs help. Little Jack, I believe he's just 2 years old. Francis, did you hear about this story?
I have not.
Okay, well, I'm going to get Channel 2 did a nice thing. There's a story up on WGRZ.com right now on Jack. He was diagnosed with the common respiratory virus, RSV. He's had some complications, and they're having, they're looking for a bone marrow transplant. And this Saturday, there's a bone marrow drive this Saturday the 6th at Wings out in Orchard Park. Do you know where that is, Tom? Wings Meeting Place in Orchard Park.
Maybe Wings Flights of Hope meeting place?
Yeah, that could be it.
In Orchard Park.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where the Wings is.
Okay, I'm not.
Yeah.
3964 California Road.
Yep, that's where it is. That's exactly what he's talking about.
Between 10 and 4. I'll share this story to WNY Athletics. But if
Yeah, I believe it's on our Twitter page already.
Beth's a sweetheart. You know, Tom, whenever we do those special engagements, she's one of the first ones at the table, her and Pauline. And anytime you go to the Section 6 office, she's one of the first people that meet you at the door to take you back to, get your slap on the wrist if you did something wrong by Mark or Tim. But Beth's a sweetheart. And to see her and her family have to go through this is just heartbreaking. But
Second story like that now.
Jack needs a lot of help. A lot of help. And if you can be a match, that'd be great. Again, I will link this story on our webpage, WNY Athletics. Or Francis, if you can get to it before I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, it'll be up on our. It's already up on our Twitter page, and
Yes.
we'll put it up on Facebook.
Okay. And Beth, just let everyone, just so you know, we're all thinking about you and Jack and your husband and praying for your family. And we're gonna see if we can't get that match for you. I'm out of town on the 6th. If there's another date I can go, I'd be more than happy to go and see if I'm a match. I'd love to. Any one of us would hopefully be able to step up and be that match. But it's a tall task, and our thoughts and our prayers and hopes are with this little guy Jack. What a cute kid he is.
To add on, we talked about Colt Matz. We talked about multiple. He just had his bone marrow transplant just this week. It just happened on Monday.
Wonderful.
And his younger brother is the one who's stepped up and has actually done it. This kid, Jack, is an absolute trooper. When they found out that he was doing it, he was like, okay, what do I got to do? All right, stick me, good, do whatever you got to do. Like, unbelievable
No
what
idea
this
what's
younger
involved
brother.
with this. It's
You're talking about, kids that are 11-year-old and younger, I hear, and just stepping up. And now we need someone to help a 2-year-old out right here. And like you said, if there's anything we can do to help, and we want to make sure we get the word out on this one, even just like we just did with Colt. And you know what? I guarantee you, if Colt's family hears this story, they're going to want to help out themselves out too.
So on that note, we'll get that link up on the website for you. And Francis, on that, why don't we take a quick little break, collect ourselves, and then we'll be back with the playoff matchups of this week.
Paul Wolf Agency, how can I help?
I got a problem. I got a big problem. The house flooded overnight, everything's destroyed, and I don't know what to do.
You can relax. The wolf is on his way.
What's the damage?
It's bad.
As opposed to good? It's 20 minutes away. I'll be there in 10.
You're Teddy?
Yes, sir.
I'm Paul Wolf. I solve problems.
Oh, good, because I got a big one in here.
May I come in?
Absolutely. Mr. Wolf, can I get you a cup of coffee?
Welcome back to WNY High School Football Weekly. I am Frank Wolf, joined with Tom Prince, and then Francis Beck is producing this weekend show. Tom, last week the Class Ds were off. They essentially got a bye because a couple of teams did not want to play in the playoffs. So we got Randolph and Portville. They're going to go at it on Friday at 5 o'clock. Now, is that game at Randolph or Salamanca? It's
Salamanca.
Okay, it's on the website it's showing Randolph, but I could have sworn Salamanca
Yeah,
stepped up.
I could have sworn it was Salamanca, yes. I said the same thing. I read it as Salamanca.
Coach Bart and his
let me
guys
verify
stepping
it.
up for those guys. So Randolph, Portville, the year Xander Hines had, and he's been a freak of the week, and we're going to name one later in the show.
And I think, what is he, the first leading? He might be the top leading rusher in all of Western New York.
Let's go. No, he's not. He's not. He's like third. He's third. He's behind Lewis and Butera.
Yeah, because
that's
and he's
Lewis.
had a week off, remember?
Yeah.
They got an extra game in there.
Yeah,
But
so-
not really, because Jamestown lost a game.
So with him and Butera are on the same number of games.
Yes, Jamestown.
And
didn't
Lewis
lose
is
the game.
down.
They just lost a game against Willie's.
Yeah.
And
because
if
Willie's
you
didn't
think
play.
about it, Lewis is down. He didn't.
It goes
he
Lewis
made-
right now at 16-15, Butera at 15-22, Hind at 14-62, McDuffie at 1442. Then Alberti and Depew 1357. That's your top 5 currently.
And I don't think Lewis has had, he's had a couple bye weeks. I know he's at least had one. He's may had 2 bye weeks.
Well,
at
the
St.
O'Hara
Mary's.
game was rescheduled, and I believe that's being played this weekend.
No, but they had a scheduled bye week. Or maybe they lost an opponent too. I think they were supposed to play some Canadian team.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I know there was at least 1 week where they didn't play. There may have been a second as well. So that's even more impressive that they're putting up that kind of yardage.
They're supposed to be playing O'Hara this week at 1 o'clock, and I love O'Hara. I love it. I got a soft spot in my heart for the Hawks. But Lewis, honestly, he could rush for 400 yards in that game. If they played him all 4 quarters and really wanted to, he could. And that's not a slight at O'Hara anyway. It's just the way it is right now. O'Hara's down. Not a lot of kids there coming out for football. We got to change that. And I'm sure that head coach Sean Mangold can do that. But in all reality, St. Mary's just put 51 up on Timon. They could put 70 on O'Hara if that's it. And you hope they don't. But if you put 51 up on Timon, what can you do? What are you going to do, O'Hara?
Getting back to D, is there any chance Portville has against Randolph?
Of course. Absolutely. And I said this going into Friday night's game. Francis, you saw that weather.
Hey, listen, that neutralized that Grand Island Hamburg game.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you that. But a team, when you bring defense, that you've got a strong defense to any game, which is exactly what Hamburg has, right? A strong defense, watch out. You can easily do anything happen, especially with the crazy weather we got going on. They got snow going on down in the southern tier right now. And if you remember, we were at that Portville, what was it last?
Wait a minute. These inclement weather is going to favor Randolph. And we just said they have one of the top rushers in all of the area.
I still don't know if it favors anybody because anything can happen in those crazy weather games,
I mean, unless
a fumble here and there, you know what I mean, a turnover here and there. I mean, granted, you got a great running back. Don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying that Randolph's not a phenomenal team and that they don't deserve that number 1 seed. And yes, they're favored, and yes, they probably are going to win this game. But like I said, weather does some crazy things.
Portville's more a balanced team, right? They don't have any pure running back. They don't have a pure couple of big-time receivers. They're very, very balanced. Defense will be the key for them. Mm-hmm. Can they slow down Alexander Hind? Now, you're playing at Selmake. It's on turf. Okay, so that should take away any crazy field conditions. But let's see.
I've seen some crazy weather, though.
What happened in that Fredonia game? It was Saturday night? First play from scrimmage. What happened? Anyone know? Matthew Lauder fumbles.
Yeah.
Fumbles. They go from playing in the Orange Bowl grass field to playing on turf at Dunkirk. Uncharted waters. Now you're on turf, slipping, sliding everywhere, horrible conditions for the most part. He fumbles on the first play. That happened deep in Fredonia territory. If Akron can convert, can pick up that fumble, fall on it, if they can hang on to it, they've got 1st and 10 from inside the Fredonia 20. That game could have had a completely different look if Akron can convert and go in for a score there. Doesn't happen. Now, Fredonia rebounded completely, forgot about the fumble, went about their business. They won the next play. That's the difference. I don't want to get too far away from D's, but that's the difference between previous Fredonia teams and this Fredonia team. We'll get back into that a little bit later. But Francis and Tom, if weather is a factor Friday night, and there's a good chance it could be, yes, Portville has a chance. Because you got to worry about the turnover ratio. And if Portville wins a turnover battle there, then they have a chance. Field position?
Yeah, I mean, but you're still dealing with a Randolph
Where was
team.
Portville last year this time? And where was Randolph?
Let's see. Was Randolph in C last year?
Randolph was in D. They got eliminated, I believe, by CSP.
No, CSP was in C.
You're right. Wasn't Randolph... I thought it was Portville that went to, like...
We did
Did they come up here and win a big game up here?
No, where did Tom and I go? Tom and I, it was Mother's Day. We were at
Portville.
We were at Portville.
Right.
Were they against Franklinville,
snow in the
Ellicottville?
rain.
Might have been.
No, Franklinville, Ellicottville played them at Franklinville, Ellicottville the next week and won the sectionals.
Okay. Was it Silver Creek that came
No,
in?
it was it was either and why am I blanking? It was either. Oh, you know what? Hold on.
Was it Maple Grove?
You know, while he's
No,
looking
no.
that up, why don't we get into CSP Franklinville-Ellicottville, which I think is the game that we're all circling in this Class D. CSP beat Franklinville-Ellicottville, I believe it was 16-13.
We'll be there.
That was back in week 6. That's probably going to be one of the top games. I know we have that on our air. I mean, this is a pick 'em game, right?
Well, it should be. It should be. I mean, usually I go with the
It was
experience.
Salamanca, Portville, Salamanca.
And they beat Salamanca?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No. It was Salamanca who beat Portville.
Okay.
It was at Portville.
At Portville, though. And then Salamanca went on to the next week and lost to Franklinville-Ellicottville for the sectionals.
Did we do the week before that Portville? I thought
That was our
Portville-
biggest watch game we ever had.
I
The
thought-
Portville one,
okay.
and then I went down to Franklinville-Ellicottville and did that game.
The week prior to that, didn't Portville come up here and beat someone up here like a Wilson or something like that on a last-second play? Or I thought Portville beat them, or maybe it was the other way around. All
right, CSP
Portville's getting more experience. They're getting more experience as the weeks go on, just like Randolph. And Randolph's going in with a lot of confidence right now. Still a young team, haven't been this far with this group of guys in this big of a game that they're. And what I mean by that, they have the bullseye, right? They're the number 1 seed. They're going to get everything Portville has. And this will be a football game if they can contain Xander Hind. If they can't, then it won't be. But if they can contain Xander Hind, we got ourselves a ball game.
All right, so back to CSP Franklinville-Ellicottville to finish up Class D. We expect this to be a close game. I mean, I just asked, is this a pick'em game? Do you favor one slightly over the other? I think, in my opinion, maybe the Wolfpack a little more because they're playing at home. They got that win, but it should not. This is a pick'em game, pretty close to it. If there's a betting line, I mean, it would be maybe -2 or maybe 2 points favored for CSP, but that's about it.
It's going to be in Panama, and it's going to be a mud bowl.
Yeah,
So-
and which means, again, the running we're going to see. Lucas Marsh for Franklinville-Ellicottville will be a running quarterback. He will take off and run the ball, run probably even more than we'll see him pass the ball. It is going to be a tough game. There's no doubt about it. I love what I saw CSP against Batavia. You can see them stepping up, and they've been getting stronger and stronger as the season's been going on. This is going to be this will be a true, battle on a field. Like, listen, if you come off this field and that jersey is not a complete mud-covered jersey, man, you did something wrong in this one. I'll tell you that.
They've got some lopsided wins. They did beat Lackawanna early in the season, Franklinville-Ellicottville. And as you can see, Lackawanna's still playing.
They beat on a couple teams.
They did lose. They lost by 10 to Randolph. No shocker there. They did lose in a tight game with CSP. That game that could have gone either way. Now you're playing in this in what should be a tougher weather game. But these two teams, they know each other well. It's slowly becoming a nice rivalry down there.
Oh,
Two great fan bases. And two very good coaching staffs.
16-12, wasn't it? The
16-13, I think.
It was either 16-14 or 16-12.
And I thought Franklinville-Ellicottville was leading in that game. I'll have to go back and look at that and do a little bit more research. I think it's a pickup game. For me, Francis, Tom, I would probably go with CSP just because of they seem to just win these big games. They just seem
So
to
does
win the big games.
Franklinville-Ellicottville.
Yeah, and
Remember, the only team to beat CSP on that championship run was who?
well, yeah, but it wasn't at the stadium.
I
It wasn't
understand
in
that,
the
but it was still
playoffs.
their only loss that year.
I understand. I'm looking for a big win in the playoffs. That's what I'm looking for. It's a whole new season. It's totally different when you get into the playoffs. CSP lost to Maple Grove. They went back and beat them. So I mean, things change. But I'm looking for big wins.
It was 16-12 was the final, and it was CSP scored 10 in the first half.
Okay.
Then it was 10-6. So it could have been 12-10. and then
thought-
CSP scored late would be what you were talking about. That
I
would be how
thought
it would
that's
come
what
out.
it was. I thought that's what it was, Tom. But maybe Todd Palmentier could refresh our memories. He'll be watching this show, and he can let us know for sure.
Ty Harper may be able to do the same thing for us.
I know. No,
Ty, I know you're watching.
I would only favor CSP in this game because of their history of winning big football games. And Franklinville, Elkaville has to show that they can win big football games.
They have, but they've won at the stadium too.
They did?
Yeah, they have won there before.
I don't remember them winning at
I
the
mean,
stadium. I remember
granted,
them
not
going
since
there.
CSP's run.
I don't think they won there. I'm pretty sure Bartosik lost all those games when he was coaching Franklinville. I don't think they ever won there. Well, but they were there all the time.
Yeah.
But they were there year after year, so they are a good program. It's a great program, top to bottom.
All right. On that note, why don't we move on to Class C? We had an upset, and I put that in air quotes because we kind of all thought that Southwestern would beat Depew as the 7th seed, and they take it.
Two upsets.
Are we
That
taking
Lackawanna was an upset over
4 or 5?
That still was an upset. When you looked at going into that was an upset game. And even Lackawanna will tell you, he has piecemealed this entire season, and what he's done with that team has been unbelievable, the way he's coached that team and has gotten every ounce that he can get out of his team. I huge credit, and I do think that was a big upset.
Yeah.
I believe that that Salamanca was gonna win that game.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Tom. Adam Tardif has done a great job. He's a Steeler. Went there, played collegiately. This is a guy that can get the most out of your program. At the very least, he's going to have that team in position to be successful. It always comes down to execution. It always comes down to execution.
Mm-hmm.
Your coaches should have you in a position to make plays, to stop the other team from advancing the football, you going out there and getting first downs. The coaches work hard at putting you in position to succeed. Then it comes down to execution. Do you have the guys that can execute those plans? And Lackawanna does.
Yeah, they're going to do a dual threat quarterback now is what they've done.
Yep.
You'll see Geschel throw the ball. You're going to see them run the ball. You see them go on the Wildcat. He's using everything he's got right now at his disposal, which will be different than what Medina saw the first time that they saw them. And remember, Medina's closest game outside of Albion is Lackawanna. So it will be very interesting to see how this plays out. I know we're getting a little ahead of some of it, but
that's easy to do.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I love what Coach has done down at Lackawanna. Give them huge props right now. They're going to be a tough out. They've got, I always go to the line, big line there in Lackawanna. They got a line if he's fully intact and ready to go, no injuries. Watch out. He could have a line that could at least keep this game. And if you remember back at the Lackawanna Medina game at halftime, it was, I want to say it was a tie at halftime, or it was a slight lead. I'll get you that exact one right there. For the Medina one, it was at halftime. So it was 2016 at halftime. Medina was leading. That's how close it was going in. They end up winning 38-16, shut Lackawanna out in the second half. But that was a close game for halftime, and I think Lackawanna has just carried that into the rest of the season.
Medina really hasn't been in too many tight games this year. You're looking at these scores, 50
Except for Albion.
40-0.
But was out of conference. Albion was the B.
Well, yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. 30-28. I mean, 54-0 over Akron. Tonawanda 62-0. 44-13 over Wilson when Wilson was looking really
Yep.
good. And then Cleve Hill 38-6. So, they've had their run this year. They haven't lost. They haven't lost in 2 years.
And like I've said,
2 seasons.
They haven't lost since
Fall of
2019.
All right, other
So-
side of the bracket. We were talking about this a little before we started the show. Southwestern, Fredonia, these teams do not like each other.
They
How about their
respect
first
each
game?
other, though.
How about
But
that
they
first
do
game?
respect each other.
first game, they scored a touchdown, needed the 2-point conversion when time expires, need the 2-point conversion to tie it. don't get the 2-point conversion. Fredonia wins. Time's expired. It was an unbelievable first game, and now we're going to be able to see it again for part 2.
So I got a chance a little bit to visit with the Fredonia guys yesterday and talk to them a little bit. I mean, they're all business. They are all business right now, and I alluded to this earlier. Their games are now at Dunkirk. Shout out to the everyone there for making that happen. Those are rivals. Those two schools are rivals, and here they are giving them their field to practice on and use for these games because the Orange Bowl is a mud pit right now. I actually went over there yesterday just to take a look. How bad is this field right now? Bad. It's bad. So they needed to move
Like
that
the Iroquois field is right now?
Iroquois might have the upside for there, but not by much. Put it this way: the entrance for Fredonia when they come out of the woods, they would all roll down.
Oh, now that would be an entrance. Go head down first on
boy.
that.
They're ready to play now, boys.
Boy, I'd
wanna
be
play
there to
those
see
guys.
that one.
Who would want to play those guys if they're all covered in mud before you get there? But Fredonia's had a season. They had that tight game though in the season against Olean, 14-13 squeeze that went out. But then it's been all, just piling on everybody since then, and they haven't really had a close game. Well, there you go,
Southwestern was a close game.
So that was the close game. But I was there for most of that game, and Fredonia seemed to be in control until I left. Then Southwestern started to put some points on the board and close that gap there. I think both teams learned a lot that day. I think Fredonia learned a little bit more about themselves. They learned how to win close games. Last year they were losing games they shouldn't have lost. The year before they were losing games they shouldn't have lost. This is a culmination of that team, Tom, maturing together. Nick Whitfield, the quarterback, Matthew Lauder, the star running back there. They've got some linemen there. Israel Martinez, what a beast this guy is.
That may be the biggest difference in this team is the line. Is giving Whitfield the time that he needs to throw the ball, open up the holes to be able to have not only Lauder run the ball, but Whitfield to run the ball too, because he's just as much of a threat with his legs as he is with his arm.
For sure. So that Fredonia team, they've learned how to win the close games. Now, I don't know how accurate this report is, but I am hearing that it's possible COVID could have hit a part of that Southwestern team.
Yeah, until we hear it.
And again, that was a pretty credible. That was a pretty credible source that told me that. I mean, it's just as close to the program as you can get. So we'll have to wait and see about that. I do have some text messages out and things of that nature to try and get to get that confirmed. And I haven't heard back from those guys yet. So that tells me that there's something going on. But we'll have to wait and see. Either way, Tom, Aiden Kennedy is having a phenomenal season. Just a phenomenal season. And
on both sides of the ball, not just throwing the ball and running the ball. He's doing it with interceptions out there where I want to say, unless somebody got their 7th one, he's tied for interceptions in Western New York in the lead with 6.
Yeah, he's having a fantastic season. I'm excited for that Southwestern Fredonia game.
They've lost 3 games by a total of 4 points. We've beaten that to death. But they've got big wins. I mean, just beating that much improved Falconer Cassadaga Valley team. They beat them by 12 points a week before. Allegheny Limestone. I mean, still a tough team.
When that game they came in and
team.
did it in that Salamanca game, I was very impressed. And then when we are actually interviewing coaches at halftime, how many times do you hear a coach look over and go, "What do you want to do? This quarterback's incredible over here." I mean, it's really the quarterback that's killing us over here. Just shows you how good they can be. And this is gonna be a great one. But like we always say, it's tough to beat them a second and third time. You know what I mean? Inside of a season. So we'll see.
Now this game is on turf.
Yep.
Southwestern plays all their games on turf. Most of the games on turf. Fredonia plays most of their games on grass. This one's on the turf. Does that change the dynamic at all, Tom?
No, they
slightly.
get faster on the turf.
They do.
Yeah.
So, but will it take? I mean, now Fredonia got a chance to play on the turf last week.
Yeah, but Fredonia's
And the
been
week
playing.
before
I mean,
when
it's not. This isn't not like they're playing their first game on turf all season, so they're used to that aspect of it.
Okay. I watched number 21 for Southwestern. His name is Cameron Lemke, Lemk, just a junior
Wide
tight end,
receiver.
6'3", big dude. Big dude. Watch out for Lemp. He's turning into be a nice target for Kennedy.
And in fact, he had a 100-yard receiving this game in that game in Depew. He'll be recognized this week as one of the top receivers. He had 6 receptions for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game against Depew. I agree with you, Frank. He is an absolute weapon for Southwestern that you're going to need to make sure you know where he is on the field.
And then rushing, Tom, it's, they got, Aiden Kennedy leads them, but, Jamison Walsh, who's also a quarterback in waiting, he's been improving week to week. So he's gotten better as the season gone on, too. He's another guy that Fredonia's going to have to keep an eye on, too. So this is going to be a battle of wills. 2 programs that have been waiting to get after it. They got their chance a couple of weeks ago, and they get round 2 now. And it's tough to beat a team twice in the same season, especially when you're this closely matched. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, so on that note, why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We'll talk about Class B, and that.
Did we do the other C? Did we miss the C game?
Yeah, we talked about Medina Lackawanna.
We didn't pick a winner.
Oh, we're picking winners here? Oh, boy.
You don't have to. I don't want.
Let's leave it for the audience to pick winners.
You guys don't want hate mail, huh? You just want me to pick all the hate mail.
Let's let the audience pick winners.
Hey, that jerk who picked against us is here again. I haven't heard that at the stadium.
All right.
I'll tell you, we always got to get a Dick Gallagher moment in here. That's probably what Dick used to hear the most, right? When he would make his prediction, everyone would be like, Gallagher picked against us. Can you believe it? Oh, my God. It was awesome. But I'll tell you, one of the best and was fearless at picking anybody if he thought they were going to win.
All right, so why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We'll talk about Class B. You're watching Western New York High School Football Weekly right here in Western New York Athletics.
When you're ready to buy a home, start with a visit to howardhanna.com. You can find new listings before they appear anywhere else and refine your search for immediate notifications of similar properties. Plus, get pre-qualified to make your offers stronger and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent who knows your area and how to close the deal. So when you're ready to buy, visit howardhanna.com and find your home fast.
I love being home.
Looks like we're back. Francis Beck is pointing at me, and now he's shaking his fist. WNY Athletics Inside High School Football. This is our Week 10, technically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Week 10 football semifinals for Section 6, 1 game away from the stadium.
Nice.
All right, Class B. We really didn't see any surprises there. I think there was a close game between Albie and Obion. They were out with their quarterback. Amari Johnson was still hurt. I imagine I haven't heard anything whether he'll be back this week as they take on Iroquois, but that'll make a big difference. I don't know if you've heard anything, Frank. I was hoping you had something for us.
I do not have anything on Albion right now. I'll check with Alex Brasky, who's with Batavia Daily News. He does a great job covering Albion, and I will check in with him another time and retweet whatever he tells me.
Yeah, so they won 8-7. According to what I found, I didn't see his name anywhere. It didn't look like he had any stats, although Albion didn't have any passing stats for.
They don't throw the ball much, period.
Yeah, they don't,
anyway, So very good running team. But I'll tell you, the one draw that they did probably not want to see in that first round was Olean. Olean it was a team you saw getting better, and better. And we always say it, I don't care what the sport is, one of the last teams you ever want to draw is Olean, period. Sure enough, that's exactly where we're at in that game. 8-7 was the final in that game. Albion wins. Give them credit, but now you're going to go against a absolute powerhouse in Iroquois.
Does Johnson, obviously he's big, but let me ask this question. How big of a loss would Johnson be if they don't have him against an Iroquois team with this
huge.
high-powered offense?
Huge. Huge. I can't say it enough. And not only that, you know that this Iroquois team is going to be prepared and ready to go. But listen, do not count against this Albion team. I mean, I consider when I look at a game like Medina, right? Medina's a team that could compete with a lot of those Bs, period. I don't care who it is, right? And they took them to the brink. So at least that's a game that you can get a good feel of exactly where Albion stands. But again, we called the game, remember, Albion, West New York Maritime, and that was the game they struggled on. And we're, as of late, or really since the beginning of the year, I shouldn't say as of late, we've had Iroquois been ranked over Western New York Maritime the entire year. So you've got to at least put them, whether we agree with it or not, okay, you're still putting them in that caliber up there. You know what I mean, Iroquois. And that's pretty much where we stand. You're going against a caliber team that you've already seen in Maritime. The difference between me, Francis, between me of Iroquois to Maritime is that line. That line for Maritime is a big line. It really is. That, to me, is the difference right there between the two teams. And then, of course, where Iroquois gets their advantages at the quarterback position.
Let's go to the other side of the bracket. You touched on Maritime a little bit, but West Seneca East, they were down early against Maryville, but come back and win pretty convincingly over the Flyers. They'll take on a Maritime team, which ever since the first 2 weeks in the season, when they faced Bennett, who's the number 1 seed in AA, and then Canisius, who's going to compete.
Number 2 in Western New York.
Yeah,
right
ranked number 2 in Western New York. Maritime has been on a roll. I think this is Maritime's game to lose. I don't. West Seneca East is a strong team. They're built like they always do. They have I believe it's Mike Hayes, who's their dual threat quarterback, that Sean Billak-like guy. But, I mean, Maritime is just a beast.
I won't lie to you there. It's listen, Maritime's going to be tough to be beat.
They've been tough to beat.
They're
tough to outcoach. They're tough to match their athleticism, their size, and their experience. These guys play in big games, and they come out victorious when we get into these playoffs. When's the last time they've lost a playoff game? I'll hang up and listen.
In the state tournament.
Yeah.
Yes.
Section 6. Let me
No, you're right. You're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah. I'm saying they've all the playoff games they lost have been in the state tournament.
But that's important to do, because that's the reason that you see Ty Parker going after these big games, because he wants to get ready for those big games in the state tournament. It's exactly what he's doing. The one thing to remember, I don't care what game it ever is, in high school football, special teams comes up in every single game in some sort of format that'll either win the game for you or lose the game for you.
What are you, Frank, now?
No, it's true. I mean, you see it. But no, I'm bringing it up for a reason, because you can say the number 1 special teams player in Western New York is sitting on that Maritime team. No matter what, I don't want kicking the ball to you.
Yeah, and you know what? That's something that a lot of the city teams usually struggle with is special teams, especially the kicking game. But they're doing a great job.
Addison Copeland, you kick that ball to him and watch out. Anything can happen.
It's the last thing you want to do.
Yep.
All right, let's go on to pull it up on our screen.
I mean, it's how you're going. They are going to get a good game out of West Seneca.
Oh, no, you listen. It's not a walkover by any stretch of the means. You're going to get a game.
This will be a game.
This will be where you wonder, like I said, does the line be the trouble that West Seneca East has to deal with?
I think West Seneca East has a big line, too. I've only seen Maritime play against Bennett. That's the only time I got to see, other than what I saw.
And you saw a line stand up to a AA, which is considered one of the top lines in Western New York right now. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm not saying West Seneca East line is not good. This is a line that went toe-to-toe with one of the top lines in Western New York.
Okay.
All right.
And feasibly, the number 1 defensive and offensive tackle in Western New York.
Yeah, Rashad Perry. All right, on to we had an A South sweep. We've been talking about it all season long. We thought the A South was better than the North in the first round. That's what we saw. They get a sweep. Grand Island goes down to Hamburg. And then the 2 Frontier gets the win over Sweet Home. And then Will South puts up a win against Kenmore West. And obviously, Jamestown beats Lockport. You knew this was on the table.
Everyone that's in this game wanted that matchup.
The Jamestown Will South.
Oh, Will South wants another shot at them. Think about Jamestown's closest game all year is
5 points.
Right? Is that Will South game? Will South wants to go, if we play like we did at the end of this game, can we play with them? Can we beat them?
So if you think about it, after that point, after Will South lost that game, they've won them perfect since. They lost their first game. I think it was maybe against South Park or somebody. or maybe Frontier.
No, South Park they beat at All High. That
That's
was
right.
the turnaround game for them. That was the
That's
first
right,
big
that was
win
right.
that they had where they were like, this is our staple win. Now we go forward.
They lost their first game. I think that one was against Frontier. Second game was Jamestown, and then they've been perfect ever since.
This way, they lose that South Park game. We're not talking about them right now.
Yep.
It's true.
And not only that, Will South, remember, just last season, which was only a couple months before the beginning of the season, they lost, I want to say, by 60 to Jamestown. So you do that, and then you start getting your confidence in that next game, and now you got the confidence. I'm telling you, this is a game they've now circled that they want, and they're going to be pumped and ready for.
I'm wondering. Now,
Oh,
I've been
boy.
looking at I've been looking at this matchup for the last 3 to 4 weeks. I had a feeling this is what was going to happen. Okay, I kind of saw this a few weeks ago that we're shaping up for a Jamestown Williamsville South matchup somewhere, whether it was going to be Strider Field or Highmark. I had a feeling we were going to see these two teams play again. That first matchup, Jamestown was taking it to Will South.
Mm-hmm.
They were taking it to them. They took what they wanted. And then they started throwing the ball up big when they didn't have to. They let Will South back in that game, if you ask me, with play calling. I mean, Coach Langworth will tell you the first to admit they were way too aggressive when they didn't need to be late in that game. An interception goes the other way for 6 points. Totally changed that game. Do you remember the pick six Will South had in that game?
I remember hearing it over in the other room.
Okay, it was either late third or fourth quarter when that happened, and it was like a 3-score game at the time. I think that's what it was. I think it was a 3-score game. So let's not forget that. If Jamestown can coach a little more conservatively or a little more conservative game plan,
This
and
is
let Butera do his job, Will South couldn't stop him.
this game certainly. So what you're saying? This one
There's
has
not
blowout
a team
potential.
in Western New York that stopped him.
What I'm saying is that as much as I love what Will South has been able to do this season, and everyone loves a comeback story, and this is a comeback story, and there's only one team in A that was saying we want Jamestown again, and that's Will South, and that takes a lot of guts. That takes a lot of
I
guts.
think there's a second team that thinks they could play with them right now. There's a second team in A that thinks they could play with them. It's Frontier.
Oh, okay.
Frontier took them to the brink, too.
I understand that, but Will South was very
Yeah, but Will South
vocal
wants
about
a
it.
second shot.
They
I
want
agree.
another shot at them. And I think Will South has as good a shot as anyone at beating Jamestown. But that first game looked closer to me than what it was. Again, I remember that game. I went back and watched that game, not just the live stream that we did, but also the Spectrum game. I watched them both. Just to
Frank,
see
you're
replays
100%
and things
right.
like that. So
Yeah.
You're right.
I have a
nobody's
feeling
down that.
There's an
Jamestown is a touchdown or two better than Will South, but that's why they play the game.
But
it's a long
well,
ride down
the
there.
The other thing is too, how much better has Will South gone since that point? I mean, you mentioned the big win over South Park. You know, their offense has been on fire. I don't know if either of you guys saw the Kenmore West game last week. I was a little it seemed like I was kind of in and out while I was doing other things. It seemed like they were shooting themselves in the foot a little bit, and maybe if they weren't, that could have been bigger. But then again, shooting yourselves in the foot, not what you should have been doing against a Kenmore West team when you have Jamestown coming up the next week.
All right,
Are
just-
you starting to think about, though, Jamestown?
Let's review
and-
now. I want to just go through Will South. They had a tough game against Frontier. They had a closer game than what it really was against Jamestown. Amherst had a horrible year. Win-loss collectively, right? Amherst didn't have a great year. They beat them. They had the big win over South Park, but South Park struggled. They're not having a South Park year.
He had 6 interceptions.
He had a great
They
had a great offense.
6 interceptions.
They had a great
in that
offense,
game.
bad defense.
Yes. Okay.
Well, no, Willoughby
Ham-
had 6 interceptions in that game.
They beat
No, but they
Hamburg.
kept answering back and forth. I remember I watched that third quarter. South Park was there with them
Yeah,
maybe till the
it's-
fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about this. They get by South Park, and that was a huge confidence builder for them. Then they go out and they beat Hamburg. That was a big win. That was at Hamburg, if I remember correctly. Was that? No, that was at home.
No, it was at home.
That was at home. They beat Hamburg, and only by 6, only by a touchdown. Jamestown blew out Hamburg, in Hamburg. West Seneca West. Jamestown blew out West Seneca West. Will South beat them by a couple of touchdowns. Newport. We got to talk about that game? No. Williamsville East, 50-15. Williamsville East hasn't been able to stop anyone, and they were just losing player after player after player that game. So, I mean, Williams East couldn't stop anybody. They know they couldn't. They tell you they lost their entire defensive line. So, and then Kenmore West. Okay, it was a good win, I guess.
But it was only 21-8, right? And
Which one?
the Kenmore West. It was
34-16. You were at the game.
34-16.
You were there.
The second one, the Will South Kenmore West.
Yeah, the playoff game.
They only played once.
It was 21-8 at the end of the third quarter.
You were there.
And
Oh,
the
then
fourth quarter.
I wasn't there. I said I was watching the game.
Oh, I thought you were at the Ken West.
No, I was
game.
watching it live. Okay,
Oh.
I must have missed the fourth quarter.
So Will South's had a tremendous year. Hats off to Coach Krasansky and their staff. They've got some gems over there.
Yep.
They got a great young little
Dewar,
nice
love Dewar
quarterback and
running the
Christian
ball.
Dewar.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a tough game. A nice hour and a half, 2 hour drive down there for Will South. But that's a trip they've taken a bunch because they usually play their scrimmage game at the beginning of the year. Will South goes down there and plays at Strider. I remember all those kids when we were. Did you come with me to Jamestown that one year?
No.
I took someone with me. It wasn't my son, so it was one of you guys came with me. And Will South was down there scrimmaging, and I saw those JVs going at it. And all those JV kids are playing at Strider Field again today, or on Friday. So that's kind of cool.
You're absolutely right. And listen, the number one running back, the number one, in essence, player right now, Western New York.
Probably
on
favored for the
Jamestown.
Connolly Cup.
He's sitting in Jamestown, right? There's no doubt about it. So, the question will be, can Will South stop Butera? Period. Now, we talk about this momentum thing, right? And what momentum does and what your mentality and your thought process does and what belief does for a team. If Will South can go out and stop Jamestown from scoring on that first drive, watch out. Anything can happen.
I'm going to bring up two names to you of guys that we haven't really talked a whole heck of a lot this season, particularly on the Showtime. We talk about Butera. We talk about Blake. There's two guys I want to tell you about. One of them is, where is he? Ben Anderson, number 22 for Jamestown, who's gotten a lot of carries the last few weeks. He's a load. He's a load, too. Butera's that shifty, fast, quick. He sees the seam. He sees that open
And
space,
strong.
and he's gone. Yeah.
And strong.
Anderson is a bull. He's like the Andreessen, all right? If you want to talk about, guys.
Comparisons, yeah.
And he's like an Andreessen. Big, tough, physical. He's not as good as Andreessen was, but he's tough. And he's going to be a load for Will South. And I don't think he did a whole heck of a lot in that first game because they were letting Butera. They were feeding Butera. The other guy is Sincere Green. Now, this kid is one of the best defenders in Western New York. And he has got a nose for the football. And he comes up with big play after big play after big play. Keep your eye on those two guys. Sincere Green, he's number 31. And then Ben Anderson, number 22. Those are two guys for the Jamestown Red Raiders that I think will have big impacts in this round 2 with Will South.
I'm going to add one more into it.
Okay.
Jamestown line. We talk about some of the best lines in Western New York. It's sitting right there in Jamestown, too. There's a reason why Butera can run for what he does. And if you look at some of the teams that Butera has run against, Butera has not only just gotten to the outside, he's had big runs going right up the gut, which is solely gets done because of an offensive line opening those holes. And I'm going to tell you, do not think this is an offensive line that should not be ranked, because they would also be ranked as a top team in Western New York just on the line alone.
All right, let's. We can talk about this game. I know for a long time, but we got to talk about the other side of the bracket.
Which is just as big.
Hamburg Frontier. Hamburg defeated Frontier in the week 8 of the season by 2 points. Because of point differential, they ended up as the lower seed. So this game is going to be at Frontier. But there's a lot of people for this game. You can make really a strong case because of that you're going to go with the road team against the home team in this game.
Well, now think about all the games that we're talking about. This is the only game. There's 2 games that are rivalry games to boot. Now, you could say 3 games, right? CSP, Franklinville, Ellicottville 1, and I'm not ranking them in order, just saying who our 3 are. Fredonia and Southwestern, and now you got Frontier Hamburg. This is a huge rivalry game of 2 teams, to me, that are built exactly the same way that want to do the same exact thing. Run the ball, right? Collins over at Hamburg, Vince Monaco over at Frontier. Those are the two that are looking to have the day. All one in the trenches, will use their quarterback to run, not throw the ball a ton. I mean, their quarterback, in fact, if he throws over 100 yards, is a big passing.
And I believe Hamburg has a big bird triple option in there as well.
So they're going to look to run the heck out of the ball. Both teams, they want to win the battle of the trenches, and that's really where it's going to be. This is going to be a dogfight, and who wants it more is what it's going to boil down to. Monaco this past week for Frontier, 5 carries, 157 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Plus Novak ran the ball for Frontier. 14 carries, 173 yards, 3 touchdowns. Look at that right there. 330 yards right there from the running back position last game for Frontier.
All right, on that note, why don't we go into AA?
Wait a second. Do
What?
I not get to talk about this game at all?
Well, we just did.
You do?
I did. He didn't.
All right, I'll move it back to A.
Thank you. You know, Tom and Francis, I thought when those two teams played a couple weeks ago, it was kind of like that Orchard Park Will North game, where how much do you want to show each other? You know Frontier is a hard-hitting, tough, running team that can also play very well defensively. Hamburg is, I think, even more one-dimensional, where they can run the ball.
That defense is good.
And the defense is very good. The quarterback doesn't get as much credit as he should get for Hamburg either.
Baseball player.
Yeah, is that he had one? Is it Hevern?
Yep.
Okay, he had a nice little throw in that game against Grand Island to extend a drive. In that last game we saw, the Spectrum game, he had one little touch pass.
There was one point I remember you said Grand Island was. Oh, maybe, I'm thinking the other side of the ball. One team was pinned deep in their end, and you're like, "Oh, Grand Island just needs one play and they're fine." And then ended up being Hamburg that kind of made the play.
Yeah, he's got a nice little touch. I don't think they let him throw a lot though, and
neither team does.
He's not a bad little quarterback for Hamburg, but.
So here's Lippert. Lippert goes, who's Frontier's quarterback, 608 yards right there, right? That's what he's passed for the year. Hamburg, Hevern, 662 yards. They almost mirror each other.
Yeah. Longest completion is 46 yards.
Yeah, for Hevern.
Yeah.
6 touchdowns, 46 yards, right, is the longest that he went. Same thing. We'll do the same thing for Frontier. Lippert, 6 touchdowns, 62 yards.
No interceptions.
I get it. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just saying they use the quarterback position very similarly. Is what I want to say. But to me, that's where it says is who's going to be more effective running the ball. And in fact, in their game, if you remember, it was Collins who had the day.
Yes.
For Hamburg, he was the number one player on the field that day as far as running the ball, which is going to be the strength of both these teams.
I would be surprised if I'd be surprised if Frontier and Hamburg showed everything in that week 8 matchup. So I think today that playbook opens up a little bit more. On Friday, the playbook will open up a little bit more for both teams. Maybe you see a trick play in here or something like that. Yeah.
No, hold on.
Game.
No, I don't want. So
you didn't?
I want to point this out. Collins goes 182 yards, 2 touchdowns in that game, right? Monaco goes for 117. Monaco goes for 117 and a touchdown. Novak, the other one, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns, 179. They mirror each other on the ground.
Yep.
I mean, you look at they mirrored each other on the ground. Here's your difference.
The one touchdown pass.
That's there.
I think, and I don't know what the injuries are like for either team either. We'll have to try and see if we can't get some answers. But I actually like Frontier in this game. If I had to pick one of the two teams, I'm leaning Frontier. I just think they're a bigger, more physical team, Tom. France, I think they're just a little bit more big, a little bigger, a little more physical. And Dylan Mack, we haven't even talked about him yet. He's a beast too. He's another one. Oh, Christoph. What is it? Conrad Christensen?
Yeah, Christensen. Conrad and Mac there over there. Flip it on the other side. You got Collins who's going to do it here. Heverin. Watch Jack Coots. He's another one that'll come up from linebacker there. You're talking about here, I'm telling you, two teams that just seem to look exactly the same on paper.
And these kids know each other. Don't forget that.
Think about it. They all played Hamburg Little Loop together is what they did, right? These guys have been playing together. It's why it's a rivalry game. I'll tell you, this is probably because the last few years, too.
This rivalry,
a couple years ago, Frontier was down. It was also a rivalry game, which Frontier was a AA, Hamburg was an A. Boy, I think this rivalry's gotten even stronger now that they're in the same conference doing this. I just love this game. I think it's going to be one of the top games. No doubt it's going to be tight. It's still going to come down to the line. Who can run the ball?
All right, on that note, let's get to AA. Bennett had the bye last week. They'll take on an Orchard Park team who just completely, I think, maybe not the final result, but at least the scoring-wise, shocked a lot of people. They beat Will North pretty handily. And then the other side of the bracket, we saw Lancaster take care of business against Hutch Tech, and then Clarence beat Niagara Falls. Let's start with this Bennett OP game. Orchard Park's the only team to hand Bennett a loss. Frank has talked about this. I've talked about this. The Tigers were probably overlooking Orchard Park. They played them in week 4, and they had Lancaster the next week. There's no way the Tigers are overlooking Orchard Park now.
It'd be a huge mistake if they were.
Yeah, I don't think they
mistake.
overlooked
The
them.
coaches aren't.
I really don't. We were there just before because we called the game that Thursday night at All High, and we saw Bennett. They were pumped for that game. Honestly, the only thing I thought in that game that between Bennett and Orchard Park, that the mistake that Bennett had did towards the end of the second quarter, they decided to go to the air and went to the air instead of sticking with the ground game is what it was. And when that happened, Orchard Park made some big stops. That was the shift, went into the second half, and that was the shift for the rest of the game. Listen, this is going to be strength on strength in this game. You've got Orchard Park that you know is going to pass the ball. You got Bennett that's going to run the ball. Who's going to make the stop? That's what it boils down to right now is who's going to make the stop.
That and Orchard Park showed that despite having an air attack offense, they showed last week that the elements really didn't stop them that much.
Correct.
Which is a big deal for them, and it's really, Bennett, you weren't happy to see that.
Bennett couldn't stop Mancabelli or Evans. Now, Tom, we've seen this out of Bennett before. You're running all over the team. You're having a ton of success, and you decide to change things up mid-game. When you're having so much success on one side of the ball, for whatever reason, the coaching staff decides to go in another direction, and it comes back and bites them in the bullet. We've seen it happen at the stadium. We've seen it happen a couple weeks ago against Orchard Park. I don't know if they make that mistake a third time.
You would hope they don't.
Listen,
for their sake, you hope they don't. But
right now, it's gonna. To me, it's gonna be a hell of a game. It really is. But if you see Bennett early on can control the time of possession early on in that game and can run the ball, it could be a long day for Orchard Park. Especially because what you'll see them do is because it's quick strikes, right? Very quick strikes by the offense, and we'll see what happens.
All right.
I mean, this is a game
it's
where
going to be a great game.
Yes.
It should be a great game.
I can't believe we got it, to be honest, because this game is. It's got the ring on the wall for game of the year, really. To this point, it really does.
Well,
the other side,
it rivals that Canisius St. Francis game right there.
Other side of the bracket, not too bad of a game as well. Let's give this one some props. Lancaster Clarence. Clarence has been one of the surprising teams of the year. They're led by Scott Raymond, one of the top tacklers. He's also a fine runner himself, and they take on a Lancaster team. I hate to say is down, but they're not where maybe they've been the past couple years. This could be a competitive game as well. I believe they
could be. No, are you kidding? This is a fantastic game right here. I mean, you're talking again two teams that are looking to do the same thing. One wants to run the ball with Micah Harry. The other one wants to run the ball with Scott Raymond. Right? You're going to see exactly there do not use their quarterbacks very differently. Garrett White for Clarence will run the ball on the same thing.
Over 700 yards rushing.
Right. I mean, he's going to run the ball with Raymond. He will do, and he can throw the ball when needed, and he will throw the ball, right? That's the one thing what you've got to do is somehow make Lancaster throw the ball because they haven't done it much this season. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying they haven't done it much is all that it is, right? Yeah. You're looking to somehow make them throw the ball is what you're going to do. But they're going to try to run the ball as much as they can. They have the line to do it in the sense of you want to talk about schemes and the lines and doing the right thing, being in the right place at the right time. This is a team that will do that, and they are one of the top coach teams in the area that we talk about time and time again. But I'll tell you, it's hard to look into that first game of Clarence and Lancaster because if you remember, they had to play a half one day, the other half another day, right? And it's tough to do, right? It really is tough to play a game like that. So you just want to look at it and say, hey, listen, Lancaster still was the better team on those days, right? But I'll tell you, I really believe, watch out, Clarence is pumped, and they're going to be ready for this game.
This is the biggest stage they've been on in a long time.
Yeah.
Clarence hasn't been able to beat Lancaster in a game that matters.
Who has?
Nobody. Nobody. Can Clarence change history Friday? Can you
change history?
Yeah, change history. They haven't. How many sectional finals they won?
Right? 5.
Oh, you're saying knock Lancaster out and end their run. Okay, all right.
I mean, I've honestly think it can be done. I think the way Scotty Raymond's been playing the last.
He's a beast.
Year.
He is a beast. Like
I think he's a Connolly Cup finalist. Very strong case for a Connolly Cup finalist.
And what he is, why he's very unique, why I think you look at him there is if even when you see me put out like the top performances list each week, Raymond's usually on there for 2 of them. Like he's on there for the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball, getting 10-plus tackles in a game and carrying the ball for over 150 yards. He really, I mean, I watched a run in that game against Orchard Park that he had to seal the victory where he actually goes for 21 yards, and he had to have busted 6 tackles along the way. It was just, I mean, he is not an easy tackler, not an easy guy to tackle. He is absolutely a very good runner, and I love what Garrett White brings to the table too. Garrett White is a kid who's not afraid to get his nose in there either, right? We've saw. Remember one that he had almost. What was it, 17 tackles he had in one game? And then he was also through for, I forgot what it was, but it was like 250 yards. It was crazy. And I'm going, we're talking about a quarterback doing this. Nuts.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Raymond, I believe he's averaging almost 8 yards a carry.
Yeah.
In AA.
That's big.
But I want to flip on the other
Harry
side.
too. He's almost at 6
yards.
yards.
That's the other one I was going to say is do not discount Harry here. He probably is one of the most underrated running backs here in Western New York right now just because of we've had so many other running backs that were talked about, and Harry hasn't needed to go for that 250, 300-yard day, right, because they've got a list of running backs after him. In fact, some that will do other runs and be able to do things at the goal line. But I'll tell you, one of the most underrated kids out there, Micah Harry, watch out. Because if he has a big day, it will be tough for Clarence.
17 touchdowns from Micah Harry.
Yep.
This is again, just an unbelievably huge game. And this is the game that you'll see on Spectrum.
All right, let me end AA on this note. I'll ask you guys this question. Is it Lancaster has the better coaching staff, but Clarence has probably the better player? Is that maybe the key matchup here?
I don't know.
Is Scott Raymond better than everybody else on Lancaster?
Scott Raymond the best player on the field in this game?
No, because, I mean, he's one of them.
Because could be made, but
because, like I said, Micah Harry is just as strong of a running back over there. So I don't want to know.
But he doesn't have the defensive prowess as Raymond.
The best football player on the field, the case could be made for Scott Raymond, if that's your question.
Yes.
The case could be made.
But you don't necessarily think it's a battle between Scott Raymond, the best player on the field, and the Lancaster coaching staff, which I think we can say is probably better than their counterparts.
Like any other game this late in the season, I'm telling you it's going to come down to turnover battles. Where are the drive starts for Clarence? Where are the drive starts for Lancaster?
All right. On that note, why don't we take a short break? And then I think you guys have awards to give out, right? You have some.
We'll come back with a Freak of the Week after
All right.
a word from your sponsors.
At Chiro First Wellness, your health and well-being is our passion. Let us take care of you and your family like one of our own.
Chiro First Wellness Center is dedicated to providing patients long-term relief and teaching them how to continue taking care of themselves. With a blend of different techniques, services, and personalized treatment plans, we'll help you find wellness in a way that's right for you. Between chiropractic care, spinal decompression, nutritional counseling, massage therapy, custom orthotics, and more, your relief is in our hands. If twisting, popping, and cracking intimidate you, our Pro Adjuster restores the same range of motion as a physical adjustment would with gentle, repeated tapping.
Dr. Mo at Chiro First has been taking care of my back needs for the past 4 years. His staff treats you like family. I've had the traction, I've had the massage done, and every time leave here feeling fresh and brand new.
Chiro First Wellness Center. Your health and well-being. Our passion.
Both of them?
No. Oh, I just ran not the top 10 yet. So highlights.
Okay. All right, so we are back, WNY High School Football Weekly, for our final segment. And, Tom, we were, again, scratching our heads. Who are we going to pick for a Freak of the Week, Logistics Plus Freak of the Week?
Listen, I still want to finish that. That
Go
Clarence coaching staff's a good coaching staff.
They're a very good
I do
coaching
not
staff.
want to let that one go. That is a very
I'm
good
tired-
coaching staff on there, and we give Lancaster props every single week. That's
And I'm-
two great coaching staffs going head-to-head with each
I'm
other.
tired of giving Lancaster bulletin board material.
No, you were going to give it to
Russo-
Clarence in that case.
Coach Rob, Coach Russo, I'm going to start charging you guys for using me as bulletin board material week in, week out. They know I love them. How
Hey.
can you not love them?
When are they going to invite you out to be the motivational guy?
I don't know.
Come on, when are we going to hear
So-
the motivational speech out there?
Let's go. I'm coming. Yeah. Have a good game, boys. May the better team win. Our next show time will be on Tuesday. We're going to do it at Media Day. We'll probably show that live, and then we'll show it again a couple more times throughout the week to prepare you all for the games that will be at the stadium on the 12th and 13th. WNY Athletics will be all over. We've got, of course, our game day broadcast, live streaming 3 of the 5 games. The other 2, we believe the double A and A will be on Spectrum, so we'll have to show those in tape delay. We're still going to do them, but Francis and I will be doing a pregame, a halftime, and a postgame show. There'll be guys on the field doing postgame interviews. Tom's running all the broadcasts with a collection of guys. We will do that St. Francis Canisius game in Athol Springs on the 13th as well. So we're all over the place. Stretch, but we'll be all over the football. All 6 football games next weekend. The last 6 football week games for Section 6 for at least 5 of the teams. Anyways, 5 will move on to the Far West Regionals, where we will be in Jamestown and Will South. Now, those games are on the NFHS Network. There's nothing we can do about them. They are already on the NFHS Network, so if you don't have a subscription for that, you're going to want to get one, because that's the only way you're going to see those games, unless you go to Strider Field in Jamestown or if you want to go to Will South. 2 games on Friday, 3 on Saturday. So look for us on Media Day this coming Tuesday at Highmark Stadium. Tom and I will do a show. We'll have a couple of guests. We'll have players. We'll have coaches, and we'll have a lot of fun. There's supposed to be a nice tribute for Dick Gallagher there, too, so we'll be bringing you that tribute as well.
Love you, Dick.
Yeah. Our Logistics Plus Freak of the Week, Tom, we had it down to like 4 guys. It's been like 7 or 8. Now we hammer it down to 3. But anyways, there's, again, 4 guys that we could have named Freak of the Week. We ultimately, I think what did we decide on? I forgot. Did we go with this guy? Or
No, the other one.
We did. All right. We thought that Keegan Mancabelli did the best. When you look at competition and the stakes that and all that other stuff, we thought Keegan Mancabelli stepped up big time for Orchard Park in that Will North game. So Keegan Mancabelli, congratulations! You are our week 9.
Yeah,
week 8.
week 9.
Week 9 Logistics Plus a Buffalo Freak of the Week. You're going to get a nice little trophy like this soon. And congratulations to you and the rest of your Orchard Park teammates.
And we, like you said, there was a bunch of other guys. We knew McDuffie had a great day with Amherst.
Huge.
We knew that Aiden Kennedy was another one that had a fabulous day against Depew, did on both sides of the ball. We know Trey Kleitz had another day with 5 touchdowns. We get it. There were a lot of guys that were there.
Tyler Baker, even in a losing effort to Cathedral Prep,
was phenomenal.
Had an unbelievable game.
Yep.
You know, so and he already won. So.
And really what we thought here was with Keegan was, remember we talked about it, they had a loss by 3 points. He was not in that game in the loss. Comes back in the next game, scores 5 touchdowns, 3 by the run, that he doesn't normally run the ball, right? Normally a wide receiver, 2 by wide receiver, 5 touchdowns in one day. Crazy. And was the biggest difference in that game, and that's the reason why we chose Keegan.
In a game like that, that's why we chose Mancabelli this week. So we will see you. We're doing 2 Chuck Funky Bowls tomorrow. We're doing Dunkirk and Burgard and West Seneca West and South Park Thursday night. Catch us there. And then on Friday, we're doing Jamestown and Will South. We're at All High for Bennett Orchard Park. And is there one? There's one more.
We're at
game.
East Aurora for Iroquois and Albion.
Yeah, Iroquois, Albion, East Aurora. So
and then Saturday. We got 2.
You got Maritime, West Seneca East. That's at 2 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, at 1:30 kickoff down in Panama, CSP welcoming Franklinville, Ellicottville. So 7 football games this week. 5 Section 6 playoffs, 2 Funky Bowls. We've never done a Funky Bowl. We're doing 2 of them, 2 of the finals. So we're proud to do that. And you're going out to do some volleyball for NFHS Network tonight.
We'll also look out. We'll have some volleyball interviews afterwards,
Yep.
so we'll add those into the mix.
We're also down in Brockport tonight doing some volleyball for the NFHS Network. So and congratulations to all those soccer and field hockey teams that won Section 6 championships. I know there's some more games going on, some crossovers and things of that nature. We've got to work themselves out, but congratulations to all those teams. And again, November 6th, if you can get to this Bone Marrow Drive for our friend Jack Faley, the son of Beth, who works in the Section 6 athletic office. That's, again, Saturday, November 6th from 10 to 4. That's at the Wings Meeting Place, 3964 California Road in Orchard Park, 10 to 4, and I'll put that up on our website. Of course, we're thinking about this family. That'll do it. Catch us Tuesday at the stadium. Hi, Mark. Go Bills. I'm going to Jacksonville. So you won't be able to boo or yell at me at any of these fields for the next
it'll just be me instead, right?
He'll relay the message. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy the football. Stay healthy. You're watching. We'll see you next Tuesday in WNY Athletics.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Being home.